have Monstera Adansonii, or you could call it Swiss cheese for obvious reasons. This guy's a little unruly, so I just think I want to cut it back and make some more of it. So I just want to show you how I do that. This I have actually cut back so many times. I always cut it back in the fall, and then it only has like a few leaves. I put it under a bright light, and then by springtime I put it outside and it puts on all this new growth. It's like the plant that keeps on giving. However, I have found that these in particular kind of are difficult to propagate. Every time I've cut and try to propagate them, they always rot. And I don't know, I'm trying a different propagation method. Basically, I'm going to use my little hefty container. I'm going to do perlite, a good medium to use. I do like sphagnum moss, but I typically only use sphagnum moss for like enclosed propagation to keep the moss moist. With the perlite, it's kind of like doing it in water, but there is a little bit of nutrients in the perlite, assuming that it has a little fertilizer. I think they put fertilizer in it. So it's kind of like water, but there's perlite in it to keep them sticking up. I have this that I actually propagated. This was my first time propagating in perlite, and it was pretty successful. These are Syngonium frosted heart, and then I'm pretty sure this is Syngonium lance leaf. I think that's what it's called. But just a container, perlite, and then I just have to water the perlite, and I don't have to worry about it getting too dry or anything. They seem to be very happy in here. Maybe here in a few weeks I'll pop each one out and pot each one, but right now I just kind of like it. It kind of looks cool like this, so I'm just gonna keep it like that. But that is an example of using perlite. So I'm gonna go through here and just kind of cut this guy up. I'm not gonna cut it all the way back like I usually do. I usually cut it like far back, and I'm not gonna do that. Just enough to make a few cuttings for a friend. So this is a good one. I'm just gonna cut it back right here. So with these, I'm debating if I even want to cut it. Maybe I can just put it in the sphagnum or in the perlite just like this. I think I'm gonna do that. Okay, I'm gonna do that. This one, so I'm worried if I cut this, I will lose one of the nodes and one of the leaves because the nodes are all so close together. So I think I'm just gonna leave it like this and see what happens. I think like putting it in there will be fine. This one, the nodes are far enough apart that I think I'm just gonna cut right in the middle and have two here. I think why I keep losing them is I keep cutting too close to the node with these. So I think I'm gonna just give some space in between the nodes and hope that they don't rot, because that's what keeps happening. Same thing, so these are all nodes. That's where the leaf comes out. This is a bare node. And I think I'm just gonna cut right in the middle there. This one, I think I'm just gonna do it right there in the middle again. And just keep them like that. If I were to try to propagate this, see how long this is, all these leaves would probably die, because like when you're trying to root, these leaves still need nutrients, and then the nutrients come from roots. So if you've ever found that you cut a long strand of whatever and the leaves start dying off before the root grows, that's because you have too many leaves trying to grow roots. If that makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense. So the less leaves on a node, the higher chance that the propagation will be successful, and the higher chance that it'll grow roots before the leaves die off. I don't know if that makes sense. So I'm a big fan of just like 2 nodes, 2 leaves. You could always do 1. You could cut it down to 1, but like that's a bit excessive. All right. I keep coming back to this one because this one does have big leaves. I think I am going to cut it right in the middle. Right. Oh. Yep, right there, because I just broke that leaf off. Dang nabbit. So there's a node right there, a node right there. So I'm just going to go right in the middle. Okay. My little container here. And I'm just going to put perlite in it. I like to put the perlite in first, put the cuttings in there, and then water it. And when you water it, it kind of, I call it like the cement, because it kind of like makes it so that the plants aren't going to move. So if you were to put the perlite in, then put the water in, it's more difficult and messier to put the nodes in after, because then all the perlite sticks to you, and that's just annoying. So this is the order of operations I like to do it in. Do it in whatever order of operations you like to do it in. But that is the reasoning why. So it's really like nice and loose, and then just stick them in there. Changing the way I'm doing this. I think I'm just going to put these in clusters and then pour the perlite in. Alright, this is what it looks like. There's no water in here, so they're kind of moving around freely, but once I water it in, it kind of makes it so they can't move. And you don't want too much water. They don't need to be swimming. Just enough that when root growth comes, the roots have a little moisture in there. There we go. I just want to make sure all the nodes are in there, and that will do it. So you can kind of see on this side, all the nodes are in there. When I move it, you can kind of see a little movement of the perlite. That's probably plenty. The perlite comes up to here. Water level is about like half. So that is one way to propagate. A lot of people swear by perlite propagation. I think it's a lot messier. This way you don't have to have a dome over it, where with sphagnum moss, it has to stay moist. So I recommend putting a dome or a cloche or whatever over top of that. This will just go up under the light and be fine. So that's how you propagate Monstera Adansonii. I'll see you soon.